Alright, what's up guys, and welcome back to a new video. Today we're going to be working on bikes instead of riding them, but we're going to be giving you guys some tips and tricks on how to prep your bike to go racing. And we're going racing this weekend, so hopefully I know how to get this thing ready to go. Gonna have some fun this weekend, and supporting the Cinco de Mayo shirt here, but definitely gonna get some work done on this thing, get it ready to go, primed up, ripping ready. So let's get to it. I got 5 tips coming at you right here. Let's go. I think we'll just throw it in the van and call it good. Let's just go race. Not worried about it. Alright, so tip number 1, we're going to start with simple stuff and just try to keep everything nice and easy for you guys to remember and never forget anything. So tip number 1 is go to the race with a fresh, clean air filter. This weekend, and just like a few weekends here that's been in a row, it's been very dusty. So fresh air filter is always going to be a necessity going into the race, and make sure your bike runs good the entire time, doesn't suck any dust, and it's going to make your bike last longer. So that's always a positive. You want your bike to run. We're going to put a fresh filter in here so my bike has fresh air. And it's especially important if you're going to a race that has maybe 2 days of racing, or, you know, like I said, it's been pretty dusty. So make sure you guys put a fresh filter in, and we're gonna go over how to do that and put it back in, and then it should be breathing fire for the weekend. So let's get to it. One thing to note while doing this here real quick is when you take your old filter off, I know I just pulled my wash cover off, but after you take your old filter off and it's dirty, make sure that there's no dirt down inside of the air boot, and make sure that it hasn't sucked any dirt in the past. If it has, just make sure you clean it out really well. Make sure your bike is still running good, because if it's sucked dirt, your engine could get destroyed from dirt in there, because engine plus dirt, not good. So, but hopefully it's still running good, and if it is, you're probably safe. It's fine. Just make sure you clean out everything really well, and then when you put the new one in there, just make sure it has lots of oil and really good to go. So we're gonna put a fresh one in now. So we just grabbed a fresh funnel web filter, and we're gonna oil it up here and then pop her in. Gloves, dog. Alright, so what I did just now was put a nice even coat on the filter here, and now I'm just squeezing it together, making sure the oil is nice and evenly throughout the filter, and then we're gonna check it and see if it needs a little bit more. Maybe pretty well evenly spread out there, and it's not looking quite the color of my oil here, so we're gonna add a little bit more. I always put it on till the filter pretty much turns the color of the oil, and just a good rule is the more the merrier. You probably can, but I don't think I've ever done it putting too much oil on my filter, so just keep that in mind. You'd always rather put a little too much than not enough. Alright, so now the filter is nice and bluish colored, and I can see, like, when I touch it, it's like pretty sticky. So I think we're good there. And then another kind of pro tip I'll give you guys is I always put a little around the ring of the filter on the inside of the filter, and all that does is just make sure you have a good seal between the filter and the air boot, so that way when you put it on, no dust can get in between the filter and the air boot. So after you get your filter all nice and oiled, you can go ahead and put your filter cage on the filter, but first always make sure your cage doesn't have any debris or dirt on it, because that's pretty much already going to be inside your air boot. In case you guys haven't got the memo yet, dirt in the air boot is not good. Alright, and once you have your cage on, just slap it right back in the bike. Then you'll be good to go. Fresh filter, fresh air, and bike should be running like a top with this. I'll also be putting links down in the description for all the products I'm using throughout this video, so for the air filter I'm using, the oil I'm using, and just really anything else that I use throughout the video. You guys can check it out down below, and if you guys happen to want to buy it, it'd be awesome if you could buy it through those links, because I get a little bit of a commission off that, so it'd help your boy out, support the channel, and it also help make bigger, better videos. So carry on, let's go. Tip number 2 is going to be bleeding your rear brakes and then also your front if you need it. But I usually just check the front, make sure the fluid's still clear, make sure I can see through it, and if it is, I usually know it's going to be good to go. So I'm pretty hard on my rear brakes, so I bleed them every single race, no matter what, just so I'll have fresh fluid in there to start with, and no, I don't have to worry about it throughout the race. So we're going to get some fresh fluid in these brakes, so our brakes won't get hot, won't get roasted, and in the end, I wouldn't have brakes. So no brakes, no good. We're going to get some fresh fluid in here. Make sure the brakes are good for the race, and then we should be good. I know some people aren't super hard on the rear brakes, but for me, I personally am, and if you guys ride your rear brakes, then you'll probably want to do this definitely every single race. And for those of you guys that aren't, maybe you can just check it and get away with that, but I recommend just go ahead and changing it out. It's not too hard, doesn't take long at all, so we're going to do that right quick. As long as you don't pump your brakes, you can take a syringe and put it down in your fluid and suck the old fluid out. But just be sure not to pump your brakes at all, and make sure you don't suck any air down through into your brake line. You can see we got the old fluid out here, and it doesn't look too bad, but we're going to go ahead and put some fresh in there just so we don't have to worry about it at all. So go ahead and fill up the reservoir here all the way to the top, and pump your brakes, make sure they're tight. Yep. Alright, so we're good to go. Now we can start bleeding them. I always just pump, and then crack open the wrench, and then crack it back, tighten it back up, and then pump. Keep pressure on the brake pedal, crack the wrench, tighten it back up, keeping pressure on the brake pedal, let go of the pressure, and pump. Keep doing it over and over. Just do it until you see fresh fluid coming through the garbage hose here into the garbage. And then just put it back on. Make sure your reservoir has fluid all in it, and it's good to go. And then tighten it up, and you got some fresh brakes ready to go for the weekend. Tip number 3 is an easy but definitely necessary one, and that is just lubing your chain and then your cables, lubing everything up. Alright, so make sure everything flows nice. A good tip for this is also to lube your chain right after you wash your bike while the chain is still wet, so that way it doesn't rust up on you and it doesn't become crunchy, and then it just gets harder and harder to clean and lube. I usually just lube the top and the bottom of the chain if it's going to be sitting for a while, but if I'm just going out right before I ride, I usually just lube the bottom so that way it doesn't just spray everywhere. But if it has time to soak in, you can go ahead and lube both sides. Don't forget, we got links down in the description to most of this stuff. As far as the throttle goes, it was just lubed a couple races ago, so I think I'm going to leave it for now, but always just check everything, make sure it feels good. If your cables feel smooth, nice and good, then it's not really mandatory to lube them up every single race. And then if you have a cable clutch, you can check that as well. Just pull it in, make sure there's no little bumps in it. If there is, there may be some fraying in your cable, and you may want to replace your cable. But if not, if it's just getting a little stiff, you may want to lube it up. So let's move on to tip number 4. Tip number 4 is another super easy but commonly overlooked. Bleeding your forks. Bleeding the air out of your forks is so huge, and the more you ride, the worse it gets. So just do this one simple little thing. It'll make your forks feel so much better. Do this one little trick and I promise you it will help. This applies for pretty much all bikes, whether you have air forks, cone valves, KYB, list goes on. But just do this, super easy, super simple. It'll make you go faster. So that's what you want to do here, then do this. Literally all you have to do for this one is take a flat blade screwdriver here, and then on your forks, don't mess with the middle one. That's going to be your compression, but the outside little screw there, just unscrew it. You may hear a little pss of air, and that's just the extra air coming out of your forks. Now your forks won't be bound up. Now they can actually work like they're supposed to. That is literally all you have to do for that one. Just screwdriver, forks, loosen it up, let the air out, and then tighten it back up, and you're done. The fifth and final tip of the day is going to be a bolt check. Whether you've messed with it or not, make sure it is tight and make sure your bike is not going to fall apart out on the track. And then also, check the wear and tear. Check your brake pads, your rotors, your sprockets, anything that wears, and just check over the bike, make sure it is looking perfect and looking real pretty, ready to go racing. So let's do it. My personal method for this is just to start at the back with one size Allen socket, wrench, whatever it is, and just go through the bike, work your way all the way back to the back on the other side, and then swap to another size and do the same thing over and over again until you get all the sizes and all the bolts, all the screws, all the nuts, Allens, whatever, until they're all perfectly tightened and nothing is gonna fall apart on you out on the racetrack. Uh-oh, we got a loose one here. Alright, nice and tight now. See guys, that's exactly what I'm saying there. I would have lost my little easy pull axle tool thing there, and then would have had to get another. So good thing we're checking over the bike, save some money, and just check over your stuff, and then you don't have to replace as much. I'm saving you guys money right here. Okay, so I'm not gonna get every single bolt or every single tool out and do it on video, because there's plenty of bolts and I gotta get to work and get them done. But you guys get the idea, and hope you guys learned something. Hope you guys got something out of this video. Let me know down in the comments what other video ideas you guys have, and if you like this one, kind of what you thought of it, and any other tips. Let me know down in the comments. Help each other out. And then yeah, be sure to subscribe to get some dirt bike footage, dirt bike content. We're going racing this weekend and going to Ironman GNCC. That should be fun. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Be sure to give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and check out the stuff down in the description. See you guys at the next race. Hopefully these tips help you whoop up on the competition. Peace out guys, we'll see y'all later.